Have you ever noticed that some women walk into a room and instantly command attention? Not because of expensive makeup, perfect clothes, or flawless features, but because of something you can't quite explain? It's an energy, a quiet confidence, a presence that makes people stop, look, and listen. The truth is, beauty that lasts is never painted on. It's built from the inside out through the habits you practice every single day. Today, we're going to explore 5 powerful habits that create the kind of beauty no mirror can measure and no time can take away. The moment you stop asking the world for permission to feel valuable, everything about you begins to change. Most people spend years believing their worth depends on how they look, how many compliments they receive, how many followers they have, or whether someone chooses them. But the truth is, confidence built on external approval is fragile. It rises when people praise you and disappears the moment they criticize you. A woman whose beauty comes from her energy understands something different. She realizes that her value is not something to be earned through perfection. It is something she chooses to recognize before anyone else does. Think about the people who leave the strongest impression on you. Chances are, it wasn't because they had the perfect face or wore the most expensive clothes. It was because they carried themselves with quiet certainty. They didn't need to announce their importance because they already believed in it. That belief influenced the way they spoke, the way they walked, the way they handled challenges, and even the way they smiled. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It simply creates a presence that others naturally notice. Too many women are taught to measure themselves through comparison. They compare their appearance, careers, relationships, and achievements with everyone around them. But comparison is a game that has no finish line. There will always be someone who appears more successful, more attractive, or more accomplished. If your confidence depends on being better than someone else, you'll never experience peace. Real confidence begins the day you stop competing with others and start becoming a better version of yourself. Knowing your worth also changes the choices you make. When you believe you deserve respect, you stop accepting relationships that constantly drain your spirit. You no longer stay where you're tolerated when you could be appreciated. You stop shrinking your personality just to make someone else comfortable. Instead, you learn to set healthy boundaries, not because you want to push people away, but because you understand that protecting your peace is an act of self-respect. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant or believing you're superior to others. Genuine self-worth has nothing to do with feeling above anyone else. It means recognizing that every human being has value, including you. Humility and confidence can exist together. In fact, the strongest people are often the most humble because they don't need to prove themselves. Their identity isn't built on winning every argument or receiving constant recognition. They know who they are, and that quiet certainty gives them freedom. There will always be voices trying to define you. Some will tell you you're too quiet. Others will say you're too ambitious, too emotional, too independent, or not enough of something. If you spend your life trying to satisfy every opinion, you'll lose yourself in the process. The women who inspire others don't live according to changing opinions. They live according to lasting values. They know that character matters more than popularity, and integrity matters more than approval. Every challenge you overcome becomes evidence of your strength. Every setback teaches resilience. Every difficult season reminds you that your identity is deeper than temporary circumstances. That's why women with strong self-worth don't collapse when life becomes difficult. They may feel pain, disappointment, or uncertainty, but those experiences don't define them. They understand that failure is an event, not an identity. They refuse to let one mistake determine the story of their lives. Another powerful habit is learning to celebrate yourself without waiting for someone else to notice. Too often, people overlook their own progress because they're focused on the destination. They forget to appreciate the courage it took to begin, the discipline it took to continue, and the strength it took to keep going when no one was cheering. When you acknowledge your own growth, you build confidence that doesn't depend on outside applause. You become your own source of encouragement. Self-worth also influences how you treat others. People who secretly feel inadequate often seek validation by criticizing or competing with those around them. But someone who genuinely knows her value doesn't feel threatened by another woman's success. She can celebrate others because she understands that someone else's light doesn't diminish her own. Confidence creates generosity. Insecurity creates competition. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about knowing your worth is that it gives you permission to be authentic. You stop pretending to fit into places where you don't belong. You stop wearing masks to earn acceptance. You become comfortable saying yes when it aligns with your values and no when it doesn't. Authenticity creates peace because you're no longer exhausted from trying to be someone you're not. Remember, your energy always reveals what you believe about yourself. If you constantly doubt your value, people will often sense hesitation before you even speak. But when you genuinely respect yourself, that confidence becomes visible in every interaction. It appears in your posture, your voice, your decisions, and your relationships. That is the kind of beauty that never depends on makeup, fashion, or trends. It comes from a woman who has made one life-changing decision. She will never allow the world to determine a value that was already hers from the beginning. One of the most attractive qualities a person can possess is not loud confidence, endless charm, or the ability to impress everyone in the room. It is peace. There is something deeply captivating about a woman who remains calm in a world that constantly encourages chaos. While many people spend their lives chasing attention, validation, and approval, she chooses something far more valuable: her inner peace. She understands that attention is temporary, but peace is transformative. It shapes the way she thinks, the way she speaks, and the way she lives. In today's world, attention has become a kind of currency. Social media rewards visibility. People often feel pressure to prove they are happy, successful, attractive, or important. It becomes easy to believe that the more people notice you, the more valuable you are. But attention is unpredictable. The same people who applaud you today may ignore you tomorrow. If your happiness depends on being seen by everyone else, you place your emotional well-being in the hands of people who cannot control your future. A woman whose beauty comes from her energy refuses to live that way. She understands that real confidence does not grow from being noticed. It grows from knowing herself. She doesn't wake up wondering how to make strangers admire her. She wakes up asking how she can protect her joy, her values, and her peace of mind. That shift changes everything. Protecting your peace means becoming intentional about what you allow into your life. Every conversation, every relationship, every habit, and every environment either adds to your energy or slowly drains it. Many people ignore this truth until they feel emotionally exhausted. They continue saying yes when they want to say no. They stay connected to negativity because they fear disappointing others. They tolerate disrespect because they hope people will eventually change. But every compromise made against your inner peace comes at a cost. Strong women understand that boundaries are not walls built to keep people out. They are healthy limits that protect what matters most. A boundary is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of wisdom. When you value your peace, you learn that you cannot be available for everything and everyone all the time. Sometimes the most loving word you can say is no. Sometimes the strongest decision is walking away from situations that constantly steal your energy. This doesn't mean avoiding challenges or pretending life is always easy. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the ability to remain steady even while facing them. Anyone can appear calm when everything is going well. The true test of inner strength comes when plans fall apart, expectations are disappointed, or people misunderstand you. A peaceful woman responds instead of reacts. She gives herself time to think before speaking. She refuses to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. That kind of emotional control is incredibly powerful because emotions are contagious. Walk into a room where one person is angry and the tension spreads quickly. But the opposite is also true. One calm, grounded person can change the atmosphere without saying many words. Her presence reassures others. Her stability creates trust. People feel safe around her because they know she is not controlled by every mood or every circumstance. Another habit of women who protect their peace is choosing their battles carefully. Not every disagreement deserves a response. Not every criticism requires a defense. There is great wisdom in recognizing that silence is often stronger than proving a point. Many people waste enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to convince others to understand them. But maturity teaches you that not everyone will see your heart, your intentions, or your journey. You don't need universal agreement to live with integrity. Protecting your peace also means being selective about the voices you listen to. Every day, the world offers countless opinions about how you should look, behave, dress, speak, or succeed. If you absorb every opinion, you'll lose sight of your own values. Women with lasting beauty learn to filter those voices. They accept constructive feedback, but they don't allow criticism to define their identity. They know that self-respect grows stronger when rooted in principles instead of public opinion. Gratitude also becomes part of this peaceful mindset. Instead of constantly focusing on what is missing, she learns to appreciate what is already present. Gratitude doesn't ignore ambition. It simply refuses to let ambition steal today's joy. A grateful heart creates a lighter spirit, and that light is something people naturally notice. It cannot be purchased or applied with cosmetics. It shines through genuine contentment. Perhaps the greatest reward for protecting your peace is freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from people-pleasing. Freedom from the exhausting need to be liked by everyone. Imagine how much energy becomes available when you stop chasing approval and start investing in your own growth. That energy can be used to strengthen relationships, pursue meaningful goals, serve others, and become the person you were created to be. In the end, beauty that comes from energy is never about being the loudest voice in the room. It is about becoming the calmest presence in a noisy world. People may first notice your appearance, but they will always remember how your presence made them feel. A woman who protects her peace carries an invisible strength that no trend can replace and no circumstance can steal. Her calm becomes her confidence. Her confidence becomes her energy, and that energy becomes the most beautiful thing about her. Words have incredible power. They can build trust or destroy it. They can heal a wounded heart or deepen an invisible scar. They can inspire someone to believe in themselves or cause them to question their worth for years. A woman whose beauty comes from her energy understands this truth. She doesn't measure the value of her voice by how much she speaks, but by the impact her words leave behind. She knows that true communication is not about dominating conversations or always having the perfect response. It is about creating connection, showing respect, and making others feel genuinely seen. In a world where everyone seems eager to speak, very few people have mastered the art of listening. Most conversations today are not really conversations at all. They are two people waiting for their turn to talk. While someone is sharing their thoughts, the other person is already preparing their next response, instead of truly listening. But women who radiate inner beauty do something different. They give people their full attention. They make eye contact. They put distractions aside. They don't interrupt simply to tell a better story. They listen with curiosity instead of judgment. That simple habit has extraordinary power because every human being has a deep desire to feel understood. People may forget exactly what you said, but they rarely forget how you made them feel. When someone leaves a conversation feeling respected, valued, and heard, they naturally associate those positive emotions with you. That is the kind of beauty that cannot be created with appearance alone. It comes from the energy of genuine presence. Speaking with purpose also means understanding that not every thought needs to become a sentence. Emotional maturity teaches us to pause before reacting. There is a difference between responding thoughtfully and reacting emotionally. A reaction is usually driven by temporary feelings, anger, frustration, pride, or fear. A response is guided by wisdom, patience, and intention. Women with lasting confidence understand that silence often carries more strength than impulsive words. Think about the people you admire most. They are rarely the loudest voices in the room. They don't constantly seek attention or interrupt others to prove how much they know. Instead, when they do speak, people naturally pay attention because their words carry weight. They have learned that quality matters far more than quantity. They understand that speaking less often allows every word to have greater meaning. Purposeful communication also requires honesty. Authentic women do not pretend to agree with everyone simply to avoid conflict. They are kind, but they are also truthful. They express their opinions with respect instead of arrogance. They disagree without becoming disrespectful. This balance is difficult because honesty without kindness becomes cruelty, while kindness without honesty becomes people-pleasing. True wisdom finds the space between those extremes. Listening with presence also transforms relationships. Whether it's a friendship, a marriage, a family conversation, or a professional meeting, people feel emotionally safe around someone who truly listens. Emotional safety is one of the greatest gifts you can offer another person. It tells them, you matter. Your thoughts matter. Your experiences matter. When people feel safe, they open up. They become more honest, more vulnerable, and more connected. Another powerful habit is choosing words that encourage instead of discourage. Negativity is easy. Criticism often requires very little effort. But encouragement is intentional. It requires noticing the strengths in other people and speaking life into them. A woman with beautiful energy doesn't feel threatened by lifting someone else up. She understands that confidence is not a limited resource. Helping another person shine never makes her own light dimmer. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. Sometimes love requires correction. Sometimes leadership requires accountability. But even difficult truths can be spoken with compassion. The goal should never be to win an argument. The goal should be to strengthen understanding. There is a remarkable difference between speaking to defeat someone and speaking to help them grow. Women whose energy leaves a lasting impression also understand the importance of consistency. Their private conversations match their public image. They don't speak kindly to someone's face while criticizing them behind their back. Integrity gives their words credibility. People trust them because their actions consistently support what they say. Trust is built slowly through countless small moments of honesty, reliability, and respect. Another overlooked part of communication is learning to ask meaningful questions. Instead of always offering advice, emotionally intelligent women become curious. They ask questions that help others think more deeply about their own lives. They understand that people often don't need someone to solve every problem. Sometimes they simply need someone willing to listen long enough for clarity to emerge. Asking thoughtful questions demonstrates humility because it places learning above impressing. Purposeful communication also means being mindful of how you speak to yourself. The conversation happening inside your own mind shapes the energy you bring into every interaction. If your inner voice constantly criticizes, compares, and condemns you, that negativity eventually affects your confidence and relationships. But when you learn to speak to yourself with honesty, grace, and encouragement, you develop emotional strength that naturally influences everyone around you. Ultimately, beauty that comes from energy is reflected in every conversation. It is revealed in patient listening, thoughtful responses, encouraging words, honest communication, and genuine presence. Long after people forget the details of your appearance, they will remember the feeling of sitting across from someone who made them feel important. They will remember the calm in your voice during difficult moments, the kindness in your words when they needed hope, and the respect you showed even when opinions differed. That is the kind of beauty that grows stronger with time, because it is rooted not in appearance, but in character. When a woman speaks with purpose and listens with presence, her energy becomes unforgettable, and that quiet influence leaves a mark on every life she touches. One of the greatest traps in life is believing that you have to be perfect before you are worthy of respect, success, or love. Many women spend years chasing an impossible standard. They wait until they look a certain way, achieve a certain goal, or receive someone else's approval before allowing themselves to feel confident. But perfection is an illusion. Every time you reach one standard, another appears. The finish line keeps moving, and before long you find yourself exhausted from trying to become someone who doesn't even exist. Women whose beauty comes from their energy choose a different path. Instead of chasing perfection, they commit themselves to growth. They understand that becoming a better person every day is far more valuable than trying to appear flawless. Growth creates confidence because it is based on progress, not performance. Every lesson learned, every challenge overcome, and every habit improved becomes another reason to believe in yourself. Think about a tree. It doesn't become strong overnight. Year after year, it grows quietly. Storms come, seasons change, branches break, yet it continues to grow. Its strength comes from deep roots, not quick results. Human character develops the same way. The strongest women are not those who have never failed. They are the ones who refuse to stop growing after failure. They understand that mistakes are teachers, not permanent labels. Growth requires humility because it begins with admitting that there is always something new to learn. A woman with beautiful energy doesn't pretend to know everything. She asks questions, she seeks wisdom, she reads books, listens carefully, learns from mentors, and remains open to new perspectives. Her confidence isn't threatened by learning because she knows that growth is a lifelong journey. The moment you believe you've learned everything is the moment you stop becoming the person you're capable of being, Another important part of growth is learning to embrace discomfort. Most meaningful transformation happens outside your comfort zone. Muscles become stronger by being challenged. Minds become wiser by solving difficult problems. Hearts become more compassionate through painful experiences. Yet many people avoid discomfort because they mistake it for failure. They assume that if something feels difficult, they must be doing something wrong. In reality, difficulty is often a sign that you're stretching into a stronger version of yourself. Women who radiate lasting beauty don't run away from every challenge. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every difficult conversation, every new opportunity, and every setback becomes another chance to grow. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" That simple shift transforms obstacles into opportunities. Growth also means letting go of the need to compare yourself with others. Comparison steals joy because it focuses your attention on someone else's journey instead of your own. Every person has a different story, different strengths, different struggles, and different timing. Comparing your beginning to someone else's middle is unfair to yourself. Women with strong inner beauty celebrate the success of others while remaining committed to their own progress. They understand that another person's achievements do not reduce their own potential. An important habit of growth-oriented women is consistency. They don't depend solely on motivation because motivation changes from day to day. Instead, they build small daily habits that slowly transform their lives. Reading a few pages each day, exercising regularly, practicing gratitude, learning a new skill, or spending quiet moments reflecting may seem insignificant at first. But over time, these simple habits shape character, confidence, and emotional strength. Lasting beauty is built through ordinary choices repeated consistently. Growth also teaches resilience. Life will never unfold exactly as planned. There will be disappointments, rejection, heartbreak, and unexpected setbacks. Perfectionists often collapse when things go wrong because they believe failure defines them. But women who value growth understand that failure is simply feedback. Every mistake contains a lesson. Every disappointment reveals an opportunity to become wiser. Instead of allowing setbacks to destroy their confidence, they allow those experiences to strengthen it. One of the most inspiring qualities of a growth-minded woman is her willingness to evolve. She is not trapped by who she used to be. She refuses to let yesterday's mistakes become tomorrow's identity. She understands that every new day offers another opportunity to choose better habits, make wiser decisions, and become more aligned with her values. That willingness to change creates an energy that people naturally admire because it reflects hope rather than fear. Growth also influences how a woman treats other people. When she understands her own journey has required patience and grace, she becomes more patient with others. She no longer expects perfection from the people around her because she knows everyone is learning. Instead of judging quickly, she offers encouragement. Instead of focusing on flaws, she recognizes potential. Her kindness becomes genuine because it comes from understanding, not superiority. Perhaps the greatest reward of choosing growth over perfection is freedom. Freedom from unrealistic expectations. Freedom from constant self-criticism. Freedom from believing that one mistake can erase your worth. Instead of living under the pressure to always appear perfect, you begin enjoying the process of becoming stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You stop measuring your value by impossible standards and start measuring it by the person you are becoming. In the end, true beauty is not found in flawless appearances or carefully crafted images. It is found in the courage to keep growing when life becomes difficult, the humility to keep learning when success arrives, and the resilience to keep moving forward after every setback. Makeup may enhance a face for a few hours, but growth transforms a person for a lifetime. That transformation creates a confidence, warmth, and presence that no cosmetic product can ever imitate. A woman who chooses growth over perfection carries a beauty that deepens with every season of life because her greatest masterpiece is not her appearance. It is the person she is becoming every single day. Have you ever noticed that some people leave you feeling lighter after you've spent just a few minutes with them? They don't necessarily tell the funniest jokes, wear the most fashionable clothes, or have the most impressive achievements. Yet somehow, after talking with them, you feel encouraged, hopeful, and appreciated. Then there are others who leave you emotionally exhausted. They complain constantly, criticize everyone around them, and carry an invisible cloud of negativity wherever they go. The difference isn't their appearance, it's their energy. Women whose beauty comes from their energy understand that the greatest influence they can have is not through how they look, but through how they make other people feel. Every day, you have a choice about the kind of energy you bring into the lives of those around you. You can become someone who constantly takes seeking attention, approval, validation, and emotional support without giving much in return, or you can become someone who gives. Giving positive energy doesn't mean pretending life is perfect or ignoring your own struggles. It means making a conscious decision to become a source of encouragement instead of discouragement, hope instead of fear, and kindness instead of judgment. One of the most beautiful habits a woman can develop is learning to genuinely celebrate other people. Insecure people often struggle to applaud someone else's success because they secretly believe another person's victory somehow becomes their own defeat. But confident women know that life isn't a competition. They understand that another woman's beauty doesn't reduce their own. Another person's promotion doesn't eliminate their opportunities. Someone else's happiness doesn't steal their future. Instead of comparing themselves, they choose to celebrate. That generosity creates an energy that naturally attracts trust and respect. Giving positive energy also means offering kindness without expecting something in return. In today's world, many relationships become transactional. People ask themselves, what can this person do for me, before deciding how much attention or kindness they deserve. Women with lasting inner beauty think differently. They offer kindness because it reflects who they are, not because it guarantees a reward. They smile sincerely, speak respectfully, encourage generously, and help willingly, even when no one is watching. Their character remains consistent whether they receive recognition or not. Gratitude is another powerful source of positive energy. A grateful woman sees blessings where others only see problems. This doesn't mean she ignores life's difficulties or pretends painful experiences don't exist. It simply means she refuses to allow hardship to become the only story she tells herself. She appreciates small moments, a meaningful conversation, a beautiful sunrise, the support of a friend, the opportunity to learn, or simply another day to grow. Gratitude changes perspective, and perspective changes energy. People are naturally drawn toward those who appreciate life instead of constantly complaining about it. Another habit is choosing encouragement over criticism. It is remarkably easy to find faults in other people. Anyone can point out mistakes or weaknesses, but it takes emotional maturity to recognize potential and speak words that inspire growth. Women whose beauty comes from their energy understand that encouragement has the power to change someone's entire day or even their entire life. A sincere compliment, a thoughtful message, or a few words of belief at the right moment can become something another person remembers for years. This habit also requires empathy. Empathy is the ability to see beyond appearances and recognize that everyone is fighting battles that may not be visible. The person who seems impatient may be carrying overwhelming stress. The friend who becomes distant may be struggling silently. The stranger who appears unfriendly may simply be having the hardest day of their life. Instead of judging quickly, emotionally intelligent women choose compassion. They understand that kindness often reaches places criticism never can. Giving positive energy also means being authentic. Authenticity is incredibly refreshing in a world filled with filters, performances, and constant comparison. Women with genuine inner beauty don't pretend to have perfect lives. They are honest about their challenges without allowing those challenges to define them. They don't seek sympathy through negativity. Nor do they create a false image of perfection. Their honesty creates trust because people know they are real. Another important part of positive energy is forgiveness. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a heavy weight that only becomes heavier with time. Forgiveness does not excuse harmful behavior or erase healthy boundaries. It simply frees your own heart from becoming trapped by bitterness. Women who radiate peace understand that they cannot control what others choose to do, but they can control whether those experiences continue to poison their spirit. Choosing forgiveness allows their energy to remain light, hopeful, and free. Positive energy is also reflected in generosity with time and attention. One of the greatest gifts you can give another person is your presence. Listening without checking your phone, remembering important details about someone's life, asking thoughtful questions, and showing genuine interest communicates something deeply meaningful. You matter. In a busy world where people often feel overlooked, this simple act becomes incredibly powerful. Perhaps the most remarkable quality of women, who give more positive energy than they take, is that they inspire others to become better themselves. Their kindness encourages kindness. Their calm creates calm. Their gratitude becomes contagious. Their hope reminds others not to give up. They don't change the world through dramatic speeches or constant attention. They change it through countless small moments of love, patience, encouragement, and integrity. Those moments accumulate over time, leaving a lasting impact on everyone they meet. In the end, people rarely remember every detail of your appearance. Fashion changes, trends fade, physical beauty evolves with time, but they will always remember how your presence made them feel. They will remember the peace you brought into difficult moments, the encouragement you offered when they doubted themselves, the compassion you showed without being asked, and the warmth you carried into every room. That is the beauty that never goes out of style. It cannot be purchased, applied, or imitated. It is built one kind word, one grateful heart, one generous action, and one genuine connection at a time. When a woman consistently gives more positive energy than she takes, she becomes unforgettable. Not because of what she wears, but because of who she is. Lasting beauty is never an accident. It is the result of the life you choose to live every single day. Beyond confidence, peace, meaningful communication, personal growth, and positive energy, there is one more habit that ties everything together: living with purpose. A woman whose beauty comes from her energy understands that her life is meant for something greater than simply being admired. She is not driven by the desire to impress people. She is driven by the desire to make a meaningful difference. That sense of purpose gives her a depth that no physical appearance can ever replace. Many people spend years asking, how can I get people to notice me? But purpose asks a different question. How can I add value wherever I go? That small shift changes everything. When your focus moves from seeking attention to serving others, your confidence becomes genuine. You stop measuring your worth by how many people applaud you, because your fulfillment comes from knowing your life has meaning. Purpose creates direction. Without it, people often drift through life, chasing temporary pleasures, trends, or the approval of others. One day they want to become like one person, the next day someone else. Their identity constantly changes because it is built on what the world celebrates at the moment. But a woman who knows her purpose remains steady. She may adapt to new circumstances, but she never loses sight of her values. She understands that trends come and go, but character remains. Living with purpose also changes the way you handle difficulties. Every meaningful journey includes obstacles. There will be disappointments, failures, criticism, and moments when giving up seems easier than moving forward. If your motivation depends only on comfort, you will quit when life becomes difficult. But when you have purpose, challenges become part of the process instead of reasons to stop. You understand that every setback is preparing you for greater wisdom, deeper compassion, and stronger character. Purpose also influences the decisions you make every day. Small choices that once seemed insignificant suddenly become important because you realize they shape the person you are becoming. You become more intentional with your time because you know time is one of your most valuable resources. You become more careful with your words because you understand they have the power to encourage or discourage. You become more selective about relationships because you recognize that the people around you influence your direction. One of the most beautiful qualities of a purposeful woman is consistency. She does not change her values depending on who is watching. Her kindness is not a performance. Her honesty is not conditional. Her generosity is not limited to moments when it benefits her. She behaves with integrity because her actions are guided by principles rather than public opinion. That consistency builds trust, and trust creates influence far greater than appearance ever could. Purpose also gives you the courage to be yourself. It frees you from the exhausting habit of trying to fit into every crowd or satisfy every expectation. You begin to understand that your uniqueness is not something to hide, but something to embrace. The qualities that make you different may be the very qualities that allow you to encourage, inspire, or help someone else. Instead of comparing yourself with others, you begin appreciating the gifts, talents, and experiences that make your journey unique. Another powerful effect of purpose is resilience. Purpose reminds you that one bad day does not define your life. One rejection does not erase your potential. One mistake does not determine your future. Women who live with purpose recover more quickly because they refuse to let temporary setbacks become permanent identities. They learn, they grow, and they continue moving forward with wisdom gained from every experience. Purpose also brings peace because it helps you focus on what truly matters. There will always be distractions competing for your attention. There will always be pressure to chase status, popularity, or external success. But when you know your purpose, you become better at saying no to things that pull you away from what matters most. You stop trying to do everything and begin investing your energy where it creates the greatest impact. Perhaps the greatest gift of living with purpose is the legacy you leave behind. Years from now, people are unlikely to remember every outfit you wore or every compliment you received. They will remember the lives you touched. They will remember your kindness during difficult moments, your encouragement when they needed hope, your wisdom when they felt confused, and your strength when others wanted to give up. Your legacy will not be built on your appearance, but on your influence. True beauty has always been more than what the eyes can see. It is reflected in the peace you carry, the confidence you display, the kindness you extend, the wisdom you pursue, and the purpose that guides your life. Makeup may enhance features for a day, but purpose transforms a life forever. It gives every smile greater sincerity, every conversation greater meaning, and every action greater significance. When a woman chooses to live with purpose, her energy becomes impossible to ignore. She doesn't need to demand attention because her character naturally earns respect. She doesn't chase admiration because she is focused on making a difference. She becomes the kind of person people remember long after the conversation ends, not because she was the most glamorous person in the room, but because she was the one who made others feel valued, inspired, and hopeful. That is the highest form of beauty because it does not fade with time. It grows stronger with every life it touches.